How to be a good leader to your employees. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips that you can implement tomorrow to be a great leader for the people that you care about. So what are the 6 steps to being a great leader? And what must you have to make those 6 steps work? I think you're going to like this. So let's get started. So first and foremost, I want to tell you about a quote that Kate told me about the other day. And I believe the quote was from Gino Wickman. And he said, "You're not a leader until a leader that you have trained has trained a leader." And I was like, whoa. Like I had to really dig down deep and be like, wait a minute. I don't know if I qualify as a leader. But the bottom line is, leaders don't create followers. Leaders create other leaders. And then Gino took it another step farther and was like, and your leader that you train must create a leader so that it perpetuates, right? And the key to all this that I'm about to share with you at the end of this video really ties it all together, why we need that kind of leadership and those skills to scale. And I will answer this question. Leaders aren't just born leaders. Leaders can be made. Anyone can be a leader, and I'll tell you because of that key. But I'm going to keep you wanting more, and I'm going to keep you in a little bit of suspense. But you know what? There is a place where you don't need to be in suspense. You don't need to wonder when videos come out, because if you subscribe to this channel, you'll get them right away. So I'm going to leave you a little bit of suspense, but we can reduce that by subscribing. So let's do that now, if you don't mind. Love you. So back to number 1. Leader coaches and manages and creates and trains leaders who coach and train and mentor other leaders. That's number 1. Number 2, a leader must have a vision and must have values. And I'll tell you why. You're like, oh, Jason, I've heard this before. No, hold on. If you're a leader, that means you'll have followers, right? And I really liked something that I heard a long time ago. The concept was even Hitler was a leader because he had influence, but he wasn't a moral leader, right? And I don't think anyone today would be like, yeah, let's go follow that leader, right? You know, Stalin, not a great leader. I mean, a leader had influence, but wasn't a moral leader, right? You can think of people all throughout history, they were leaders, they had influence, but they weren't moral leaders, right? So in order to be fair to the people that you lead and have influence with, you must be clear. Don't bait and switch people, right? Don't be a complete dirtbag and profess yourself to be a good person, right? Know what you stand for, know what your vision is, and know what your values are. Because when you do, when you're clear and transparent about who you are, then the people that choose to follow you, there's no confusion whatsoever. Again, there's no bait and switch. And there's no lack of alignment. They're like, yep, this person, this is what they stand for. I want to follow this person. It's clear, and you have your people, your group, right? And I will say, for myself especially, the Jason you see on camera is the same Jason you'll see at church, is the same Jason you'll see at home, is the same Jason you'll see everywhere. I am just who I am. I tell people who I am. I tell people I'm flawed. I tell people what I stand for. The only difference is probably the amount of cuss words that you would experience in any one of those settings. Otherwise, I'm exactly the same. I only temper the cuss words because of the settings. But I will say that having a vision and having your core values will allow you to have your people, and will allow you and your followers, the people you're leading on your team, to know if they align with you as their leader and if you have influence with them. So that's definitely the next step. Number 3, like I said, every leader, the strict definition is a leader must have influence with his or her people, the people that they lead. And so that's what makes you a leader, right? And so being able to become a better leader means that we use that influence for a good purpose. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let me talk about 2 more things really quickly. A leader is most effective when a leader is vulnerable and open and transparent. What I mean is, it's not a one-way street. It's not a, hey team, show me who you are and be open and connect with me. It's a 2-way street. I as a leader will be open, will be vulnerable, will not put up walls and try and protect myself, but will actually open myself up to real connections. So there really isn't a purpose to having values and core values and a vision if to connect with people if you don't open yourself up to actually make that connection, right? These people will be like, oh, I like what this person stands for. But if you're not open and vulnerable, you can't actually make that connection. So leaders are at their best when they're open, transparent, and vulnerable. And if you want any resources on that, check out any book by Brene Brown. Absolutely fantastic. I recommend those books highly for any leader. And 5, and I'm so blown away at how nice nicely flow efficient these are, right? Is that once you're actually open to like being vulnerable and creating connections, you use those connections to make sure people feel relevant, connected emotionally, and to make sure that people can measure winning and go home winning every day. Meaning you can dig in and actually have a real connected conversation and say, you're relevant because of this. Or, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How's your family? And, hey, in your role, I'd really like to help you feel like you're winning and help elevate you in your role. Those conversations with truth, with complete transparency in both directions, can only happen if you're connected, open, and vulnerable. And again, if you're using your influence for good purposes. And number 6, this is the key that I've been promising you. And I want to give you this paradigm, which is a lot of times leaders feel like they lead events or efforts or programs or companies. They don't. They lead people. And I know that sounds really simple, but go with me on this. There are people that call themselves leaders that will be like, I am a leader and I'm doing this thing. I'm solving this problem. And I will use the people to accomplish this thing. This thing could even be their own career. That's not leadership. Leadership is where you, as a part of the group, say, hey, I will use my influence for good purposes in a vulnerable way to make sure that I connect and get people what they need to elevate them and move them forward. And it just so happens that this group of people is doing this. So, if you are the type of person, or if you see somebody that's using people to accomplish a task, instead of building people with your influence that happen to do a task, then you will know they're not a leader. A leader will elevate the people around her or him, regardless of what they're doing. You could cook hamburgers. You could be putting people on Mars. You could be leading a government organization. You could be running a project. All of it. I love it. But great leaders focus on people first. They're there to build the people, elevate the people, care for the people, and it's always the center of their focus. And so that is the key that we must understand for any other part of our leadership to ever work. Givers gain, takers lose. So in closing, I will say that leaders move people forward to progress and fulfillment. False leaders move what they want forward and use people to do it. And I hope you found this enjoyable, this video, and that you're able to do an assessment in your own leadership style. And so in the description below, we've given you a little checklist and audit to evaluate you and your leadership skills and see how you're showing up in all of those categories. Because at the end of the day, leadership is a stewardship, a calling, a mission, right? Where you actually get to go build people that build great things. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.